Hey cupcakes, it's Stacys. Hello cupcakes. Today we are filming the Hunny's Seasons drawings. This month we are doing astrology or horoscopes, however you like to put it. And the first drawing in the series that I'm going to be doing is the Leo. I chose this as the first one because I'm a Leo and I kind of love the aesthetic. I really like the lionesque-ness and the strong kind of like golden autumn tones, so I'm really excited about this drawing. So I have a time lapse here and we'll just record over it and try out this new format and see how everyone likes it. So definitely be sure to leave me a comment below and let me know if this is your thing. So right now I'm just working on the initial sketch. When I do my sketches, I really like to start with a first very, very loose drawing, which just kind of helps me figure out shapes and where I want things to go. I go over that with a second line layer, which is slightly more detailed and helps me figure out small intricacies, like if I'm drawing, a tiny bolt or a piece of fur, how I want each individual piece to look. And then I do a final third line layer, which is to confirm the lines and really get those, nice flowing swoops down. So that's what you're seeing here. Sometimes I skip the second line layer if I don't feel like it's necessary. I think for this drawing I did. I just did the first and the second layers. But yeah, in terms of the design, I decided to go with like an ethereal feeling, but also try to capture, the celestialness of astrology, and also capture like the essence of each sign. So when I think of Leo, I think of really kind of like strong, wild, natural essence. So I went with like this crazy hairstyle and tried to make it very, pretty but messy at the same time. I wanted it to sort of emulate the way a lion's mane looks. And as you know, a lion's mane kind of comes up and surrounds its face and makes sort of this like cool halo effect around it and just frames its face. So that's what I tried to do with her hair. And I think it turned out pretty cool. I think it's like a pretty unique hairstyle. It is very messy. And I've really been enjoying working with this symmetry tool lately. When it comes to drawing, I was always kind of like taught like not to use pure symmetry generally because it can create a bit of like an uncanny effect. But the more I work with it, the more I just really love how confrontational it looks, especially for the honeys, like because they are all head on. We use the symmetry tool for some of the drawing and then just kind of go in by hand and like flip out some elements to make them a little asymmetrical. I think it creates like a really clean, unified look, which makes it look very illustrative, and I really have been enjoying that lately with the front facing honeys. So yeah, I think it worked out for the hair. And then I added this kind of like natural, I guess, flower crown to her. Whenever I think of Leo, I always think of like, the lion is the king of the jungle. And so I thought a crown would go well, but I didn't want to go with like a traditional crown. I wanted to go with something that was a little more natural and just soft. Because I'm trying to go for that celestial feeling. So I went with a crown of daisies and just some like kind of natural firs and like branches. We don't get to color yet, but I think when it all comes together, you'll kind of see like what my thinking was there. And then yeah, I think her little fangs are really, really cute. It gives her a bit of a fierce look. I also went with these, I wanted some like lion head earrings. And when I was designing these, I went with the lion's face and then kind of more of a symbolic, non-representational version of what a mane would be. So it's got this like flat backing, and then it's almost got like a spiky pattern on it, which could be a lion's mane. It could represent the sun, which the Leo sign really reminds me of the sun as well. And so I think it worked pretty well for a piece of jewelry. I was inspired by this really cool piece of jewelry that I had years ago, and it was a little brass lion door knocker. And I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. So I wanted to kind of emulate that with these earrings. And then we went with a very like loose flowing silky dress, because I think it will really just fit into the theme of being, you know, elegant. And then what I did was to make it a little more, you know, rugged, a little more wild, added on these arm pieces with the fur attached to it, which will also tie it back into the headdress. One thing that, you know, I really try to think about when I'm drawing is bringing your eye around the piece by using repetitive shapes and colors. So if you kind of look at the arm piece with the fur, you can see how that shape is replicated at the top of the canvas as well, and then it's replicated again in the lion's mane on the little plushie that I drew. So that will naturally bring your eye around the canvas in sort of a triangle shape. I think it's really important not to just have, you know, color or something in one place, unless you're trying to make the eye focus on one place, which would be your focal point. So the line art's done, and here I am moving into color. Initially, I thought it would be nice to have a black and white color palette with pops of color for these. Then I tested this yellow background and I fell in love with it, so I ended up keeping it and going with like a very late summer, like transitioning to autumn type color palette for her. I have swatches set up for everything I draw using the Hunny's color palette now, which I'm pretty excited about. Last season I didn't have that. I was just kind of picking colors from like my other palette that I had, but I took the time to go in and pick all the Hunny swatches and put them into a new color palette for the seasons. So I think I'm really excited to see like a unified color palette for season 2 that matches the collection. And of course I had to make her a ginger. Like, sorry, it just had to happen. Because I'm a ginger and I just wanted to. And it fit into the color palette. It fit into this, you know, fiery color palette. So that was cool. Yeah. What am I doing here? I decided to color in the tattoos brown to give them a little bit of a different tattoo look, which I think fits in pretty well here. How I like to do my coloring is I like to go in and do a solid layer of color for the first pass. And then what I actually do is interesting. It's an interesting technique. Maybe I'll make a video on it if people are interested in seeing more. You would need to see the full screen capture to see all my layers for that to work. But basically, I do the flat colors and then I duplicate the layer twice. On one of the duplications, I make the colors all, like I take the hue saturation color, I flatten all my layers, and then I darken it and I increase the saturation, and that makes our shadow color. So you have that layer below your normal layer that you just colored, your flat colors, and then you erase into it all the shadows. And so the shadow color for everything on your palette is already naturally there. And then you flatten that, you duplicate the layer again, and you go in and do the same thing for your highlights, except instead of darkening it and saturating it, you lighten it and desaturate it, because that's what our highlights, that's the color, you know, that comes in for highlights. So it makes you able to go in and do like some light shading on everything really quick. And yeah, so that's what I did. And then I just added a little bit of details, you know, to the background. I put the star sign there with some bright little stars, which I thought was cute, and this is how the piece ended up. So I feel good about it as the first piece in this month's collection, and let me know what you think about it in the comments, and let me know as well what you thought about this format. Did you like the time lapse? Did you like the narration over top? Is there other things or specific things you would be interested in hearing me talk about during the time lapse? Is there anything you'd change? I'd really like to know, because YouTube is a new format for us, and obviously the most important thing is that you all are having fun. That's why we're here. So I'll see you next time for our next sign. We're voting on what to do right now, but maybe it'll be an Aries or a Scorpio or something cool like that. So we'll see you for the next video. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you had a great time. We will see you cupcakes later.